All right, there's a few more people still filtering out of the main room, but whenever you are ready to get started,
Okay.
and I'll give you a 5-minute warning when we're getting close on time.
Okay, great. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. My name is Kristin Burrus, and I am in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I teach at a school called Sim School Chattanooga in a pretty fun makerspace and Fab Lab. So I'm glad you guys chose to come to this little session. There are so many to choose from this time. I'm just grateful to see you guys here. So really, what I'm going to talk about is a continuum that we do with our ninth and 10th grade. So at STEM school, we have this 45-minute class that meets every day for both our ninth and 10th graders, and we call it tech time. I'm sure it's coded some way for the state so that they get credit, but we call it tech time. And in that journey, I see all the ninth graders in 4 rotations. So I see all the ninth graders. They have 4 rotations and they rotate through these 4 classes. So I see them for about 3 weeks, and the same for the 10th grade. So the 2 projects that I'm going to outline today are basically 3-week projects, maybe 1 or 2 extra days. And so they're pretty fast for everything we do. One of the things that we noticed as a STEM school is that our students were getting a lot of time to do digital fabrication, but what they didn't really know how to do was fabricate, like traditionally fabricate things and use tools that didn't make me want to gasp and like cry. So we wanted to spend some time with our students, teaching them how to use regular um, like cutting tools, and then also kind of amping up those cutting tools to use their digital fabrication. So this is sort of what we're all about. So the way we start in ninth grade is we want to spend some time with what we call level 1 and 2 tools. Now, these are tools that if, if you touched it, it might sting you, but you're not going to lose any parts. So it is not a scary, scary tool. Well, I guess box cutters, of all things in the lab, the box cutters probably send the most kids to the nurse, but it's not a traumatic injury, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And in using these tools with our ninth graders, we wanted them to make a project that we're calling shadow puppets. So we're going to show you the steps to go there. And then by the time they get finished with their 10th grade session, they have used all the way up through their level 3 tools, which would be more like saws, like real saws, table saws, band saws, miter saws, etc., so that they can prepare things for CNC carving. Um, so here's our first little project in our level 1 with our ninth graders is we make a sanding block. And basically what we're doing is teaching them how to use hand saws, a hammer, which who knew that would be so hard. That was very challenging for my students. Wood glue and some simple cutters. And so we're starting to put in place that they need to have their PPE. It's all about safety, and it's all about documenting their process. One of the things that happens at STEM school is that they earn micro credentials for certain things, and their level 1 tools, which are all hand tools, are a micro credential. So you can see underneath our wood block here, that is actually one of my students' papers where as they show that they can use these tools, we actually sign off. One of the things we try to do with students when they're earning micro credentials is they self-report, they take pictures of their own things, but I didn't want a kid taking a picture of themselves with a hammer. It seemed ridiculously dangerous. So that's why we watch them use these tools and then sign off. The next phase that they go through is a little analog prototyping. And so what they're doing is designing a shadow puppet. The reason we chose a shadow puppet is because we want them to cut out an image, whatever they draw, on a scroll saw, and then use different drills to make different size holes. So we wanted it to literally, if you put a light behind it, make a shadow on the wall. And so that was the impetus for having holes, different sizes, and then cutting out the outside. So we spend some time, doing the design process so that students can get through what they need to get through there. The next step for our ninth graders is learning how to use the scroll saw. And the other tools that are part of this, these are actually what we call level 2 tools. So if you've ever used the scroll saw, it's actually a pretty, as far as students go, it's not too scary. And they get to do some real cutting with this. Now, our students are ninth grade, so they are tall enough to use the machine, I suppose. I'm not sure what it would be like to do this with middle school, but I have seen middle school students use the scroll saw. And they learn how to change the blade, and they learn how to make some basic cuts. And then we are moving through workshops. So Each student has to demonstrate that they can use the tools before I give them like the opportunity to just work on their shadow puppet. So you'll see them in groups. They are demonstrating the drill and driver in the middle picture. So they have to drill a pilot hole, then they have to screw the screw in using the driver. They have to take it out, and they learn to use clamps, goggles, etc. All the safety procedures. The picture on the left is learning to use the bench sander. They also use orbital sanders as well during this rotation, and then also the drill press. So we're constantly moving students through these rotations on their way to making their shadow puppet. And then finally, at the end, they have some sort of a little shadow puppet. And the culminating product is just little half-inch pieces of MDF that they have cut with the scroll saw and the drill, added even some interior cuts too, and then they attach them to the base, reinforcing the drill and driver. And that is their haha, we have created a thing. And then some of them have time to paint it, make it cute. And then others you can see just are getting done. Now we move on to 10th grade. 10th grade is a pretty big leap in safety for our students because now we are using what we call level 3 tools. That's the table saw, the miter saw, and the bandsaw. Now, I do want to reiterate, we are not a shop class. We don't have a shop class. So these students are learning these tools. It's kind of like just-in-time learning. They're learning them so that they can be part of groups that make things in the Fab Lab in their 11th and 12th grade. So we're not looking for mastery, we're not looking for perfection, but we are looking for safety, and we're looking for some basic skills. During this, and by the way, in this project, they're making a CNC carved stool is the final product. And so they go through rotations just like our 9th graders did in the miter saw, the bandsaw, the table saw, and also some pneumatic nailers. We want to make sure that safety is first, and then they're demonstrating they know how to do it as well as being able to articulate that. They write about the safety, and they also have to pass the safety quizzes, and that goes for both rotations. As far as the CNC carved stool, we also teach some very basic carpentry, which is some gluing and clamping techniques because they do want to make a big enough base or seat for their stool. And so they have to clamp it and let it dry. And then finally, that piece goes into the CNC machine. So we are teaching some digital design. Before this rotation in 10th grade, our students have pretty much only used laser cutters and Tinkercad and some other kind of, I would say, less three-dimensional cutting tools. And so teaching VCarve and or Inspire is a little bit of a whole new animal. And we spend quite a bit of time on getting them through this digital design process. But you'll notice that in the CNC, we're trying to make things a little like a bit uniform and kind of fast. So all the kids make the same size blank or the same size seat on the top, and then it fits in a jig so we can quickly move the pieces in and out of the CNC machine. And in this particular project, they were just using VCarve. So they didn't have to make a lot of decisions about depth. And then finally, we have some stools. And I do teach a little bit of joinery. They can make some pocket holes for connecting the legs together. And then also another thing that the kids like to do is they like to paint inside their CNC carving. And then if they go back over the top of it with some sandpaper, they can just have the parts that are colored on the inside of their stool. But a little bit of finishing. We had one group, I don't know if you can see in the back, but they actually did some stain. I think it's Batman. I'm not sure if it's big enough on your screen for you to see it. And then, ta-da, finally. So those are two of close-ups of some examples of some of the stools that students made. They do get to reinforce the sanders that they learned in their 9th grade class, and then whatever other finishing techniques that they are interested in that. I mentioned along the way they're earning these micro-credentials. These are the main 3 that they're learning. We have the micro-credentials kind of broken into, like we leveled them. I keep saying level 1, 2, 3. Let me skip ahead to this. So I made this based on, I don't know if you've seen the Edgerton's MIT. They kind of broke tools into level 1, 2, and 3. And so I use that as my, thank you for the thumbs up, Danielle. I use that as the basis for how we leveled our tools in the lab, and that's how we put them in the room, and how the kids earn like their their safety tests and their demonstrations, kind of get them to move through these different levels. It's not a perfect list. Like I've had folks try to tell me the bandsaw should be level 2, and I decided it's too close to their face to be level 2. I don't know. Anyway, so that was just kind of, some of it's arbitrary and some of it's but then these are the micro credentials that they're earning. I am not the Fab Lab teacher for the 11th and 12th grade. So we've worked really hard with our other teachers in the school to say that if students are going to go into the other Fab Lab at the school, they have to have earned these micro credentials to touch the tool. So this is a gateway. This tech time class is a gateway to earning the right to use these tools. Now, their teacher will definitely teach them how to use it, but this is just kind of a way for us to know who's ready and who's not, as they move through the school. These micro credentials don't mean anything except to us, I guess. But it's just the best way we could come up with to keeping track of what students could do to demonstrate their learning. And so, as far as STEM school, we do want a culture of safety. My friend made me a T-shirt that told me that basically I was the goggle police because I am always telling kids to put their eyewear back on. So that's why I chose this picture, because I think everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. But we just want to make sure that they always know that they need protective equipment. We do touch on OSHA. They do not like take any OSHA certification tests, but we do teach them the safety symbols and the color coding that is on the machine and around the room. And that they always have to take a safety quiz and they always have to demo something before I just let them use it. And then I got to be honest, I still stand very close to the table saw. And we have some locks on some things that they have to ask permission every single time they're going to turn on those level 3 tools. So we've got some really cool locks on the plug, and also the little hooks that you would see like on the miter saw. They can't pull the trigger until they've asked for me to unlock it for them, quite literally. And then I guess this is just kind of our basic outcome is, they start with cardboard, and then hopefully by the end of their 10th grade year, they feel like they can fabricate things all the way up until the CNC machine. We want them to be safe, but we also want them to have that creative confidence so that as 11th and 12th graders, when they dream up something that they want to make in the Fab Lab, they at least know what the tools can do, and they know like how to be safe in the lab and how to get things ready to be in the lab. I definitely wanted to have some time for questions because that was remarkably fast. And so if you guys have questions, feel free to unmute, just yell them out. I don't know how to see the chat. I can figure that out here in a second. I don't know if anybody's chatted.
We've got about 5 minutes left. We don't have any questions in the chat yet, but yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute. Someone's asking if you can share your slides.
I can. I don't. I have put everything in a folder. I also have my slides that I actually share with students, which is not this slideshow. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, I had AI help me make this slideshow. So there's a couple of gobbledygook bits in the corner I just tried to ignore. But it was really neat. Notebooks.lm if you've not played with that AI. But yes, I don't mind sharing. I can do that through Liz. Is that how we're going to share everything out, Nick? Do you know?
I think this session is being recorded, and so you could attach it to that recording later. But if you have a link to them that you can drop in the chat now, I think.
Oh yeah.
For the people who are here, that'd be great.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that. Copy link. This is actually a link to the entire folder of stuff. Seriously, where's the chat? There's the chat. Okay.
While you're finding that, I have a question. So
sure.
You did go very quickly through there, so I might have missed it, but like I very much appreciated in your CNC step that you have an efficiency requirement for the students to keep their cut times down. But even a 25-minute cut for a classroom full of students, like, are you running that CNC machine for like a month to get everybody's cut made?
Well, I gotta say, and don't be mad at me, but I have the greatest Fab Lab in the world. No, we have 5 CNC machines in our lab. We have 2 big shop rots, the ping pong size table shop rots, and then we talk about mama bear and baby bear. So we've got we can actually have 5 of them running at the same time. So I do have students, and I didn't mention it for the stool. They do work in teams. I have classes that are about 20 kids each. So each rotation in 3 weeks, we're making 10 stools. So the kids do rock, paper, scissors of who's taking it home, or we duplicate it very quickly because it's easier to duplicate something than to design from scratch again. But yeah, so we're getting out of there with about 10 stools. And I got to say, in the back closet, I have probably 10 stools out of 4 rotations that are in pieces, but they begged me not to throw away. So they're wrapped in tape and they will come back to finish at some point. So sometimes, especially like this last week, when we have snow days or other things, stuff happens. But STEM school does have a little bit of leeway with their 1 week a quarter is sort of a makeup week. And so I can get kids back in here to finish up a project every now and again, as long as they're caught up on all their other stuff. Any other?
I have a totally, that was fabulous. These are beautiful. I noticed your Notebook LM note in the very bottom. So I want to know how did Notebook LM help you with preparing this presentation?
So I dropped in, if you guys don't know Notebook LM, it's you tell it what to AI or what to draw from. So I dropped in pictures of my students during the project. I dropped in my sources that I give the kids, my slideshow, and for both classes, and then other just random resources because I give them a lot more resources. We have I guess if our little class, I can drop resources in there. Anyway, I dropped all of that and I said go. But I will say it didn't choose pictures I liked. So I did have to put pictures, it's a PDF. And so I changed some of the pictures. But like this screen, I did nothing to. So it was exactly, I thought it was cool. Yeah. It was neat. It saved a ton of time. Just FYI, if you guys haven't played it.
Yeah. Because my problem is documentation, and for slightly different reasons than yours, but I am just overwhelmed because everything has got to be pictures. Everything is step by step. And I'm just, I mean, we use slides. Google Docs with the tabs has been a big help, but I'm looking for better ways to
right. Well, and
picture focused documentation.
Yeah. And for my students, like I have a Google Doc that I put in to Notebook LM that does give them step by step. Because what I found with both of these processes is the kids do not all go at the same step at the same time. So I need my students to be able to see all the steps so that they can move along at their own pace and not have to wait. And then I spend a lot of time in small groups and workshops pushing the kids that need to be pushed and allowing the ones that are going quickly. Once they get past the workshops, they can use the tools. So everybody slows down to do the workshops with me and the demos. And then they have usually a week and a half left in our 3-week rotation to then build their product. And so they have to have that documentation too.
Right. No, I know. That's why it looks great. Yeah. And then did you put your email somewhere that I missed?
Nope, I did not. And what I can do is I did link the slide. I'll go into edit mode here in a minute, and I can put my email in there. Or no, let me just type it in. Oh, what's wrong? Here's my email. It's in the chat.
You can do that too.
There we go. Please feel free to ask me questions if you need anything else.
I have 2 more questions. So you said that part of it you require the students to take photos to document as they go. At this point, are we just assuming that every student has a phone in their pocket and is using that?
They have Chromebooks, like we have school issued Chromebooks. So a lot of kids are turning those around and taking pictures. And then we have this special permission process where they say, Ms. Burrus, can I use my phone and take a picture? And I say, yes. And it would be a whole nother talk, but we do have this program called Fab that they're uploading all their photos into to document their process. So not only do we have micro credentials in this tool safety, but we have it for the lasers and for the vinyl cutter and for all the tools in the makerspaces and Fab Lab that we want them to document in this grid.
That was my other question. How are you tracking that? So perfect. All right, we got about 15 seconds. Thank you so much, Kristin.
Thank you guys. Bye.